My journey to saving $100,000 started with the goal of saving up a large down payment for a house. At the time, it was March 2022, and I felt stuck in my full-time first nursing job. It was 36 hours a week, only making maybe $2,000 every 2 weeks, and it was night shift. I was picking up overtime, and I just could not figure out where my money was going and why I wasn't gaining traction. I knew I had to increase my income somehow in a dramatic way in a short amount of time. So I started looking into travel nursing contracts. I found a job that was paying $3,200 a week on 36 hours, 2 hours away from home. So I immediately jumped on it, and I kept my full-time job at home as well. That totals to 72 hours, and I did that for 2 months. So working full-time at home and the contract job. Travel nursing contracts, you have to have 2 places to live. One place at home, one place on your contract. So I ended up renting a room from my parents for $635 a month to keep my cost at home very low. And then on the contract, I would look up Airbnbs, short-term rentals, even on Facebook to see if there were any low-cost room rentals in the area. I just had to make sure I kept a room rented all the way through the contract to fulfill my obligation to get the tax-free stipend. It's a lot of documenting, and it's a lot of paperwork to keep track of because you keep receipts, and I became very good at monitoring my finances and my expenses. Just in that first month of travel nursing, I netted $17,000. That's the amount of money that ended up in my bank account. The amount of withdrawals or expenses I had pulled from my bank account that month were $1,700. So that's the difference of $15,000 that I had saved within that month. In the first 2 months, I saved $22,900. At this point, you might be wondering how I'm getting all these numbers. So I'm taking my net income, what's being deposited into my account every month, and I am subtracting my expenses, so what's being taken out of my account every month, and I'll show you that right here. So this is actually July 2022. Those are the deposits. This is July 2022's total withdrawals, and that's just showing you what's coming out. I jump into my second contract, which was still close to home, about 2 hours away. So I went part-time at home, and I was working 36 hours a week up at the new contract. This contract was a 3-month contract. I didn't do my homework on the housing. I was paying way more in housing there. There was an unsafe area. More to come on that housing journey. But in those 3 months, I was able to save $26,400. So right now, after 2 contracts, I've been able to save $50,000. Third contract, I was actually making $2,600 a week, and I was renting a room for $900 a month, and that was South Carolina. I went intermittent at my home hospital, so I wasn't working as much at home, but I maintained that job for the purposes of having a job between contracts. Always having that job stability. So I went on my 3rd contract. I came back. It was December 2022. I actually had all of Christmas off. I helped out at home, and I was able to save, this is over the total 10 months of traveling at this point, I had saved $77,000. Last but not least, we're rolling into the 4th and final contract, which is where I hit my $100,000 mark. This contract was in Kentucky. I was making $2,900 a week. I found a room rental for $900 a month, and I was still renting a room for my parents at $635 a month. I was still driving that same little car, and I was commuting from Kentucky back to Alabama for my job at home, which was PRN at the time, 4 shifts a month. still a lower cost of living state, so we've got lower gas prices, lower food prices. I'm shopping at Aldi. I'm shopping at Aldi at home. I'm making meals at home. I'm grinding. I'm working. And by the start of April 2023, I had saved $100,000 all in all at the end of April 2023, minus net expenses. I had saved $103,000. By this time, I had opened up a high yield savings account. I'd gotten smart about some stuff, and that really started taking my savings to another level. These places are lower costs of living. I could have easily found an apartment for $3,000 a month in every location, and I would have just been blowing my money. I could have easily gone out to eat for every single meal or been flying back home instead of making these drives, which were only 4 to 6 hours at the longest locations. So all of these things combined together were really the driving factors in me being able to save such a considerable amount of money in a short amount of time. Another factor is staying close to home. I was able to come back home and work my PRN job as needed. If I wanted to take breaks between contracts, I still had my PRN job. I was able to see my family and spend time with friends and family, which does a lot for your morale when you're on these contracts and you know no one. Having such a supportive family and friend group, I know that everyone wasn't so happy that I was gone all the time, but they did try to help me and encourage me along the way. My parents were excited for me and they wanted to help me every way they could, and my friends thought it was awesome that I was going to all of these different places. Not everyone is going to come from that same background or situation, and to be able to save up $100,000 in a year or 2 years or whatever your goal may be, you also have to have that fire within you that says, I can do this. And you can do it if you put yourself in those positions to get to where you need to be. If I had stayed at my home job and just tried to keep working overtime, there would be no telling how long it would take me to save $100,000. I hope this video encourages you to step out of your comfort zone, even if it's just for a little bit, and go towards your goals. Jump on the opportunities when they're handed to you, because it could change your life. If you're interested in more content like this, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.